Welcome back to Tuesdays, where we're going to check out all three vendors that changed their wares, starting with the Telvar Merchant in Imperial City Sewers. First up, we have Stormhaven treasure maps. I'm not going to recommend these, especially at 6,000 Telvar a piece, but Stormhaven brings us Dreamer's Mantle, Night Terror, and Storm Knight's Plate, as well as a chance for the leads for Ancestral Orc, Boots, and Mace's motif chapters. Our first set of jewelry is Farstrider, Amulet, and Ring. First up for leads, we have Braided Blessed Brambles. This is part of Stormweaver's Cavort and drops in the Addon public dungeon, Toothmaul Gully. The next one's much more exciting though, Preserved Raxu Feathers. This one is part of Gaze of Sithis and is the one that drops from Remain Silent, the Dark Brotherhood. Like if you take the Shadowy Supplier passive, she shows up, and if you get stuff from her, and you can only do it once a day, she has a chance to drop this lead. It is notoriously difficult to get, so I think it's a good buy at 25,000 Telvar. Next up, we have Necklace and Ring of Kind's Kiss. Our scripts, we have Bound Affix Script Force, adds force, a buff increasing critical damage. Bound Affix Script Savagery and Prophecy, adds Savagery and Prophecy, buffs increasing weapon and spell critical chance. Bound Focus Script Flame Damage, adds flame damage. And Bound Signature Script Anchorite's Potency, adds a Consumed Soul Gem to grant ultimate effect. And lastly, for 125,000 Telvar, we have Elemental Storm Violet Purple. This is a skill style purchased from Maj Alragath for 40 Undaunted Keys. So you have a decision you could make. Is it worth 40 Undaunted Keys or 125,000 Telvar? The answer might be no to both. But otherwise you have a choice of how you want to get it. Personally, I prefer running dungeons to running around in Imperial City, so I bought mine with keys, but if you were a PvPer, spend a lot of time in the sewers or in Imperial City, then it is here for 125,000 Telvar. Alright, let's head over to the Scholarium and see what scripts he has. We have Bound Affix Script Empower, adds Empower, a buff increasing heavy attack damage. Bound Focus Script Trauma adds Healing Absorption effect. And Bound Signature Script Thief's Swiftness adds improvement to your mobility. Looks like that's it. Let's head over to Infinite Archive. First up, we have Clockwork City treasure maps. Again, not worth it for 2,000 archival fortunes, but Clockwork City gives us Livewire, Mad Tinkerer, and Unfathomable Darkness, as well as a chance for one of 4 book furnishings. Now, in order to get one of these book furnishings, that character needs to have learned the eidetic memory for those books. If you're not sure how that works, I have a link below. Our first plan this week is Blueprint Solitude Display Shelf Noble Filled, running about 50,000 gold on PCNA, but on PCEU, they are running 333,000 to 1 million. So pretty good deal if you're on EU. Now, keep in mind always, these are bind on pickup. You cannot buy these to sell them. You can only buy them to avoid having to get them for the 1 million gold, right? This is just for you. Next up, we have Bound Style Page Stormfist Shoulder. Stormfist drops from Tempest Island, and you can get the shoulder from the Undaunted vendor whenever the Stormfist Mask style page drops. I typically don't recommend buying these shoulder pieces. I think it's much easier to get them with keys. However, you are limited to the window of time that the mask is dropping in order to also get the shoulder. So if that is a struggle, you can get it here for 15,000 archival fortunes. Next up, we have Captain Berwara's Records. This one drops in Infinite Archive, and the eidetic memory is also found in Infinite Archive. Companion equipment, medium armor. I usually do not recommend getting companion armor from Filer Ul, but if you are swimming in archival fortunes, it's obviously an option. These are bind on pickup. You cannot sell them, and you're at the mercy of RNG as to what trait you get. Next, we have Coral Hashimoda Decoy. This is one of 25 pieces that you get from the High Isle Public Dungeon, Spire of the Crimson Coin. You combine those with the 25 Coral Hashimoda lures from the other High Isle Public Dungeon, in order to get the Coral Hajmoda pet. At 1,000 archival fortunes, I actually don't think this is horrible. I wouldn't buy them all this way, but I don't think this is a horrible way to buy those last few that you need. Our second plan this week is Diagram High Isle Mirror Standing. This one runs 25 to 30K on PCNA, and there's one listing on PCEU for 100,000 gold. So again, not a horrible buy. Our first lead this week is Nilumen River Pearls. This is one of 5 pieces of Pearls of Elnofi, and this lead drops off the final boss in Banished Cells 1. Our second lead is Feathered Planium Cradle. This is one of 5 pieces of the Torque of the Last Ayleid King, and these leads drop in Infinite Archive, typically off of the GW the Pilferer or the Portals to the Unknown challenges. Back up here, we have our final plan, and this one's a doozy, guys. Redguard Satchel Heavy. While this is a base game plan, it is very rare. We have 6 listings on PCNA for 2.1 to 2.5 million, and 1 listing on PCEU for 5 million. This is a great deal for only 2,000 archival fortunes. As you can see, I don't have this one yet after playing the game since launch. So I think this is a great deal. But again, remember, these are bind on pickup. So you're only buying one, you're buying it for yourself. You cannot buy any for your friends or to sell or any of that. So, but save yourself millions of gold if you don't have it yet and buy it for 2,000 archival fortunes. Our next book is Torvasard's Journal. This one drops in Infinite Archive, but the eidetic memory comes from the Quest and Apocrypha Chronicles of Fate. The other option for your eidetic memory for all of these is to read it in somebody else's house. My guild halls are open on both PCNA or PCEU under spantifical. Just make sure that you are looking in Browse Homes. It defaults to Recommended Homes, so make sure you're checking in Browse Homes. All right, our scripts are Bound Affix Script Evasion. Adds evasion, a buff reducing damage from area effects. Bound Affix Script Magicka Steel. Adds Magicka Steel, a debuff granting Magicka Restoration to attackers. Bound Focus Script Generate Ultimate. Adds ultimate generation. And Bound Signature Script Anchorite's Cruelty. Adds a Consume Soul Gem to deal Oblivion damage effect. Next, we have Fragment of the Exarch. This is one of 5 pieces of the Silver Bolt's Vibrant Yellow skill style, and drops from the Blackreach Greymore Caverns World Boss Feeding Grounds. And finally, we have Malographic Ichor. Consume 50 Malographic Ichors to unlock the Ichor Most Malevolent achievement and the Malographic Mount. Remember that these fragments are guaranteed with dailies in Infinite Archive, and that the Malographic Ichor, I believe, is the first to drop. They drop in a curated order. At 10,000 archival fortunes apiece, when you need 50 of them, that is a ridiculous price if you plan to buy all of them that way. So I would just run dailies and get them that way. All right, we're going to run a couple arcs of Infinite Archive, and we'll see what new gear is also dropping, since that also changes on Tuesdays. We just ran a couple arcs of Infinite Archive, and this week we have gear dropping from Shadowfen. That includes Hatchling Shell, Robes of the Hist, and Swamp Raider, as well as from Vardenfell, which includes Defiler, War Maiden, and Warrior Poet. That's going to do it for this week. We'll see you in the next one.